Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Knitter Podcast. My name is Allison and I will be your host. I'm recording on Sunday, November 13th, 2016 from my home in Los Angeles, California. How is everyone doing? It's been a little over a month since my last podcast and I have done a lot. So let's get started, shall we? First up in the can. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Regatta Tee by Olga Casey, as I feel myself up. That was a lace and nautical stripe sleeveless that I knit out of Skinny Dipping half and half, which is half sport and mineral colorway. And then this is Leading Men Fiber Arts Callback and Sandcastle. See how rusty I am? I can't even remember yarns. And I ended up finishing this about 3 weeks ago, October 25th. It took me about 3 months to do it. And it was really easy in terms of the knitting. It's striping. You can kind of see the stripes. And then it has a panel, lace panel, and then it connects. Now, I made some modifications. One, I made this longer. Apparently made it too long, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I also didn't have enough of the contrasts, and so when I got to the lace panel, I only did the lace panel, and then I finished the top in the green, which I had more of. Pattern actually calls for the lace panel to be all the way up. I think it actually looks fine, so that worked. Now, what happened though, and I knew this after I finished the first one and I weighed how much I had this left, is I had less than half the ball left. So I knew I was going to run out on the other side. So I decided to make, because the pieces are identical, the front and the back. This became the front piece with the larger lace panel. And then I'm going to stand up and show you the back and the length, which I want to talk about. So first let's talk about the length. You can see it's really long, and if I can't really, let's see if I can step back just a bit. You can see in my jeans. Anyways, the point is here's my waist. Here's where it falls. Very much tunic length. Probably longer than I wanted. It kind of is a weird tunic length for me, and I don't think I'd wear it as well tunic length. Like even today, I'm sort of pulling it up like this. And what that tells me is I knit it about 3 to 4 inches. Probably 3 inches too long. So, everything else though I love. I love the shape, I love the feel, I like the top, and then I was talking about the back. So see how my lace panel across the back is smaller. I actually did less of a lace panel and more of the green because I ran out of that. And I actually like it. I don't think you really can tell too much the difference. And now I can tell the difference between the front and the back. So what I think I'm going to do is I think on the length part, after I've had a little time to absorb that I'm going to have to cut my knitting, my brand new knitting, I'm going to basically cut off the bottom and use that, unwind that, and use it to basically just re-knit a rib, which shouldn't be bad. It should be very easy to do, to pick up the stitches and then knit a rib down. So I'm going to do that, take it off about 3 inches, and then save all that yarn in case I ever have to do any repairs, because I had nothing left of either one of these yarns. I used every little bit. Every little bit. The other thing is I was thinking this was going to be more of a summer kind of weight thing, but because of the boat necks, barely, and I thought I had reduced the boat neck, but not enough. You can see today I'm wearing a tank top. It's basically a tank top with lace, you can see. And I like that look. So I may be wearing a tank top underneath it, and if I do that, the combo of a tank top and the knit is too warm for Southern California. This will be great fall and spring transitional. It's still a little cooler, and when I could wear a cardigan to kind of just top off my arms. So I think that will be more of its use in terms of wearing. But I do like the feel of it. I like the look of it. I think it's very flattering. I think the colors are very good on me. And overall, I really liked the knit. I should have trusted, as I said, my gauge was a little looser, so I went a little larger, which was fine, but I didn't account, the length was really from after blocking, it stretched very nicely, which I guess I didn't account for in my swatch, the amount of stretch, which is fine. It's not a big deal for me. I'm not afraid to lop off the bottom and reknit. I probably need a little time, though. I'm going to have a goal of finishing it by the end of the year, so that this can be for the springtime or even in the fall, fully formed, go into my drawer, 100% done, ready to wear. But this again was the Regatta Tee by Olga Casey. This was in Summer Interweave 2013, and I highly recommend it. It's a very easy pattern. I actually bought it from Interweave. I think it was $6. I didn't have access to the Interweave summer issue anymore through my library. And 2 colors, very simple, increases, decreases, a lot of garter stitch. Some people on the pattern, like I actually did reverse stockinette out. Some people in the pattern page have reversed it so that they have the stockinette on the outside. But I actually like it with the reverse stockinette. So it's reverse stockinette body, and then the lace is obviously the stockinette so that the lace will come off. I did have to make some modifications for the top where I think I had to take out a lace, two lace repeats, because it was getting too wide. There was too much lace this way, and I think that was smart when I cut back and did it, or ripped back and redid it, because now I feel like it's perfect. It's like the perfect sort of length. Very comfortable, very, very good. So that was my first one, and as I said, I had hoped to bring it with me on my vacation, but after evaluating it, it was totally wearable. I was really looking at it, and I guess for me, a lot of times on vacations, I like to travel, not a lot of times, almost all the time. I like to travel really light, which means I'm just bringing a carry-on, which means every inch of my suitcase is valuable. And knits, even when they're sport weight, or this was, yeah, sport weight, they're still thick. They're thicker than a t-shirt. They're thicker than, you know, a store-bought anything. And so it's really difficult for me to bring clothing-wise on vacation, because I can get 3 different shirts for the size of this one in my suitcase. So I always bring a shawl or something like that, but I did not bring this on vacation for that. I was saving room for other things. But overall, very pleased with it. These other FO I finished are my Sen socks. Woohoo. And these were knit out of Query Fiber. It's October 2016 colorway that knit up for the Carolina Fiber Girls kind of Socktober thing. And it's just a simple lace pattern, feather and fan. And I think it really shows beautifully. And I did it toe up, fishnet skipped heel, and at the top I just cast off. So that's why you see a little bit of rolling, because it's just the lace stops. And I was gonna try to block that out, but I was like, you know, it doesn't even bother me. These are for me, and I think that these will be very comfortable. And I ended up using about 300 yards, about 75% of the skein, so I have more of the skein to put into my sock blanket. So very easy. If you're looking for a pattern to do, I think it was a free pattern. It was by Dona Knits. It was by the Sun River socks. I really just took the lace pattern, and I think I even changed it a little bit. I think I was supposed to have a purl row in it, and I didn't have any purl rows. I did all my knit. But it's beautiful. The yarn is really beautiful. Initially, this was one that I was a little, not disappointed, but the yarn I had thought I was buying had a lot more orange. The one that was the sample skein. I understand any dyers, they differ from, you know, skein to skein. But for me, orange was October, and so these don't scream October. These actually scream spring to me, which is fine. So in the end, I'm really happy with them, and I was happy to have another pair of socks off the needles. I also finished, excuse me, Loop by Kasprinka. And this is a shawl, though the length is right, the depth is only 12 inches. It ended up being 66 inches in length by about 12 inches. And I knit this out of Newer Knitters Brewing Company, Sockaholic, and Tip Jar that I picked up at Vogue Knitting LA 2011, so 5 years ago. And some leftover Miss Babs Cosmic hand painted in Nashville Neon, which I had left over from SSK 2014. Now, the thing that is awesome about this shawl, let's see if I can get close enough, yeah, is this loop stitch, which creates this really 3D effect where it pops out and these stitches pop out like 3D. And it's created by a knit front back, knit front back front. So you're creating 3, and then when you come back around, you knit them all together. And so it creates on the purl side, like this is basically a purl loop, but it's 3 yarns instead of 1. So it creates a 3-dimensional effect. And then you also carry the yarn in the front, so it creates that line. And I really like that. I think it's a beautiful effect. It's a great use. Here, let me kind of prop it up. It's a great use of leftovers in a solid. However, for me, and I guess from the pictures, and I didn't really look at the pattern, I thought it would be bigger. This is almost shawlette size for me. Like, it's not, I mean, I can get this, but I guess I like my shawls beefier. And so this is gonna be a gift. I don't know who for. I was thinking my niece, but we'll see. It's going to go into my gift box, but it was about 400 yards of the gray and 140 yards of the Miss Babs. Now with that, I got 11 of the repeats, and the large size called for 12, and the repeats I mean was like the color and then the 8 rows of the gray. And then I was running out. The edging actually in the pattern calls for it to be all the contrasting color in the garter stitch, and I didn't have enough. I was weighing, I had 3.9 grams left for the edging. And so I did want to include some of the color. So what I did is 2 rows of the gray, and then I did the 1 of the color, and then the gray, and then it's an I-cord bind off, which I really like the edge of an I-cord bind off. Like, it's just so neat. But I actually, as I expected, because it's garter, so you go 1, 2, after the first row, I was like, I'm not going to have enough to go all the way back, but I will try. And let's see if I can even find which side it was. I guess, no, you know what? I can't even really tell. So I basically ran out about 20 stitch, oh yeah, you can. I ran out 20 stitches short. 20 stitches short, and maybe even less. So I had to use the gray. So I basically just picked up the end of the ball from the other end and knit with the gray, and then just wove in my ends. So barely noticeable, and I like the effect of having that 1 row kind of tie in the shawl and the edging. So overall, I'm pleased with it. I guess I think I was expecting like a more expansive shawl, and it's really not. And it's really not shawl length, but it's not long enough for me. And part of that is I'm tall and it takes a lot to wrap around. And yeah, I just like more of the triangular, more depth in my shawls. So I like the crescent shape, which is crescent shape. Oh, the other modification I did, as I keep wrapping and unwrapping, the other modification I did to get a straight edge, because this was a crescent shawl, is between each, it's knit on both sides for the first 2 stitches, and on the right side I knit, yarned over, knit, then did the pattern, and then when I came back over I dropped that yarn over. So there's a lot of space between the 2 knit stitches, and that allows you to not have a curling, so the top edge isn't tight, and I was able to keep it very straight when I blocked it. So that is complete and beautiful. I really liked how the Nashville Neon, the Miss Babs, popped with the gray, because the colors, as you can see, had blues and pinks and even some gray in it, and it really worked well. One thing I will say is the Ravelry pattern page showed only needing 150 yards of the contrasting color, which is one of the reasons why I chose it, because I had 140 yards left of the Miss Babs. But when I bought the pattern, that said you needed 200 yards of the contrasting, which you very much did if you were going to follow it per pattern and do the contrasting color for the edging. So I did report it, you know, as a kind of a error, but I was able to modify it enough that I was happy. If I were following the large size, I should have done one more of the repeat and then all of the edging in the contrast color, and I didn't have enough for that. But I was okay with my moms. So those are all my FOs. WIPs. Well, let's talk about what I'm not working on. I did not get my 3 inches done on my linen stitch blanket. And I think in general, what I'm going to do for that is I might be on hiatus to the end of the year. Not because I don't want to work on it, but just because it is time consuming to do those 3 inches. You know, it takes me a solid 2 weeks of that being my evening knitting to get that done. So I have other things I want to do. The holidays are coming up, and of course, very last minute, I decided I want to do some holiday knitting because apparently I can't decide before November. So since I missed October and I'm going to miss November and I'll probably miss most of December, I'm going to just officially put that on hiatus, take that off my plate, not worry about it, and then either I'll make up those inches next year where instead of each month of doing 3, I'll do 4, or I'll just extend the project by that many months because this might happen again next year. So instead of a 2-year project, this might be a 2.5-year project. C'est la vie. So nothing on that. I'm also working my jeweled cowl. Didn't see any work on that in the last month. I did finish, or I am working on a secret Christmas present, which I cast on right before I went on vacation. And I'm not going to show that because I think I don't know who watches my podcast, whether my family does or doesn't. So I'm going to keep all of my knitting for the most part for the holidays secret. And then what I think I'll do is before I give them all or send them all, I'll do a podcast or record them where I show them all. And then I'll publish that after the holidays and you can see all my gift knitting. But know that I was knitting on that, so that wasn't, it's not like I haven't been knitting. I finished the loop last night. Like, I was wanting to finish that. So the other thing I'm working on, which I will show you because I do know he does not watch, is another pair of socks for my boyfriend. And these are another Crafty Girl numeric vampire. And so this is inspired by the Count from Sesame Street. And I picked this yarn up at Zombie Apocalypse last year. And I'm just doing vanilla sock, little gusset increase, and yeah, nothing special. These were my mindless knitting for vacation along with the Christmas knitting. So I have one sock done and just a wee bit in the toe for the next one. But those will be done plenty of time for the holidays. And I actually have the other pair of socks that I finished him that I haven't given him. So I'll give him 2 pairs of socks in addition to whatever other things. So that's the only WIP I have to show you because I finished the loop and I'm not working on the other ones and I can't show you the one. Now, I want to talk about coming attractions. So I've decided for holiday knitting, I want to finish holiday knitting from here until then. I will show you the yarn. I've decided I'm going to give one of the shawls that I've made this year because I was looking through my gift box, for lack of another word, for projects that I don't want to need to find a home for. And I have a lot of small shawls and shawlettes that I knit that just don't feel right for me. And I think I'm going to give one of those to my niece. I have no idea if she would really wear it. She's 6, but I think it'd be good dress up potential. And so maybe she can use it for like her dress up box. But one of the things I will make her is a hat, and I have the perfect skein and I didn't even know it. This is Knitter's Nightmare and Harmonic Elements, and it is a DK Superwash. How awesome is that? Isn't that the perfect little girl color? And I'm going to make it was a woolly wormhead hat. Woolly Wormhead just gave, as a result of the elections this week, there was a lot of kindness and giving going away. And one of those is Woolly Wormhead was giving a free pattern of your choice to help spread kindness in the world. And so I took advantage of that and got the Skelter hat. And it is just a simple garter stitch band with a pattern, looks like a cable pattern, and then a pom-pom. I'm gonna knit a pom-pom. I don't think I've made a pom-pom since shortly after I started knitting. So this will be my first pom-pom, but I'm excited. So that will be a hat for her. I think I'm gonna do some fingerless mitts. Not sure who for. And then my sister will be getting something that goes around her neck. And she's always someone I have to knit something special for. I can't pull from the gift box because she is allergic to wool. So most of the things I knit, she cannot wear, but I do have some special yarn in my stash that I have picked up for her, or I'll get an acrylic and make her something. She likes my knits. So that's what I've decided to do. And so that is my focus from here until the end of the year. And then the other thing I want is I want no projects on the needles except my linen stitch blanket come November 1st. So I do have to finish the jewel cowl and then any of these projects I start and all of my holiday knitting. And then if I finish early in December, say from here, you know, by December 25th, 26th, I have all my projects off the needles. I'm going to plan what I'm going to cast on for January, and I think I'll probably plan for like 3 projects. And then I'm going to go back to knitting on my linen stitch blanket and just knit until the end of the year on that, and go from there. I may have one other project just because I'm sure it's a little slow that time of year at work, so I'll make sure I have a portable project, but something small that I could in theory finish very quickly, so maybe some hats or something like that. So I want to clear everything off, clean slate for the new year, and then cast on some projects. I have quite a few queued, the yarn for quite a few shawls and things like that, so I'm going to see what speaks to me. Garments take me forever, so I might focus on some shawls for a while. We'll see. But that's kind of what's going on in the knitting life. So, bit of gossip. Let's talk about some stash enhancement I did. So as part of this first holiday project that I am working on, I had to buy some yarn because there was I didn't have something in my stash that was appropriate for this gift. So as part of that, I bought it from the Loopy U. And, you know, you get some yarn from the Loopy U, you got to get some more. And they had these on sale. And these are the Loopy U Solid Series. And I guess they're going to be coming out with a new base or something in this. So they're discounting all their existing stock because they're getting new stock, which is a new yarn. Anyways, it is 220 yards of superwash wool in fingering, and I got these 3 colors. So the cobalt, the charcoal, and slate. And do you know what this is going to be next year? Because I'm thinking ahead for holiday gifts. I'm going to do the Cracker Jack socks for my boyfriend for next year in Dodger colors. I have some stash white that I'll be using. And if you haven't heard about that, it's people do socks, people do a cowl, and basically you assign colors for home wins, home losses, away wins, away losses for your favorite sports team. And I've seen this, it's usually done in baseball, but you could probably do it in other teams. And you knit those colors depending on if they win or lose. So I had thought about doing it this year, but I didn't have the yarn. And so I was thinking ahead and I picked it up for next year. So I have 480 yards to do that. No, more than that. I have double that. And so I will definitely be making a pair of socks for him for that. So exciting to pick that up and keep that in stash and have it ready for next year. We did watch a lot of the World Series games leading up because the Dodgers were very close, obviously, if you watched. And was a little disappointed they didn't beat the Cubs, but c'est la vie, it was the Cubs' year. They played very well. We ended up watching the final game, or most of the final game of the World Series while we were in Hawaii, and it was definitely an interesting game. Speaking of, let me see. So since we last talked, I had a birthday. Yay, me, I'm 40. It doesn't feel much different than 30. I guess I have to get used to start saying 40, but it went wonderfully. Before we went on vacation, which was during my birthday, I did go to a Halloween party and I dressed up for the first time in a few years. And I cobbled together a mime costume rather quickly. The only bad thing about the mime costume, so I wore red suspenders, I had a black and white shirt, had a little black beret, was the face makeup. Because I just went to a Halloween store and got like the cheap face makeup. And oh my goodness, did it not look good. It didn't go on smooth. It was cakey and cracky. And if I had thought if I had a little more time, because somebody told me I was going to a costume party on like Thursday night and it was Saturday, so there wasn't much time. I would have ordered better face makeup, but now I have that locked away, so I have my emergency mime costume, which is nice to have, always emergency costume. So we did that and did work, and then we went to Hawaii and it was wonderful. We went to Oahu, where we spent 2 nights in Waikiki at a Hilton there, the Hilton Hawaiian Garden, which was beautiful. We got upgraded to a room that faced the water, and it was just gorgeous. Because of the time difference, every day we were waking up super early and we saw the sunrise every day. The water there was clear, and it was awesome. We did a luau. We did the Chief's Luau, which is on the south end of the island, and that was a lot of fun. We splurged for the really nice package, so that put us up close, and we have a friend, one of the friends that went, so it was my brother and sister and their significant others, and then 3 of my college friends and their significant others. My friend's husband is an amazing photographer, and so he sat close enough and got some amazing shots of the whole fire dance, and it was very funny and fun, and yeah, it was totally worth it. The show was great. So we did that one of the nights, and then we went to the North Shore, where I rented a house right on the beach outside of Hauʻailua, and there we stayed for the next 6 days, and it was awesome. The surf had started to pick up, because as it does in the wintertime, which is why it's a huge surf area, and so where we were was very rocky, so it wasn't great swimming. We tried once or twice, but those waves were powerful. But it was beautiful, just the waves. It was so actually, and I hadn't thought of this, it was really noisy because the waves were just constantly coming. That noise is everywhere. I have figured out that I like silence when I sleep, and even the sound of waves is too much. Constant waves, even though everyone's like, oh, it's white noise and da da da. It wasn't for me. I would love to live near the water, but I would have to live a little further back than maybe right on the water, because we were, yards from it. But it was beautiful. The house was beautiful. Everyone got their own room. Everyone had a good time. Everyone kind of did their own thing during the day. So my brother and sister were very committed to doing all the adventures they could. So every day they went out and did things. Along with some of the other groups, they went shark diving. They did a catamaran cruise, they did hiking, and one thing that most of us did was ziplining, which was my first time ziplining, and it was a lot of fun. But in general, then I had 1 or 2 days where we just stayed at the house and just hung out. It was beautiful. It was very relaxing. It was very fun seeing my friends. We don't get together often enough. I mean, my girlfriends and I, we try to get together once a year, and now that's something we commit to doing, and we will do. But my friend is having her first child, and so that will change it a little bit. And this was also our first time, kind of all of the significant others being all there. And it's very nice because everyone gets along. Everyone has a good time, and you were able to go away and then come back and hang out, and it was great. So Hawaii, I want to go back. I definitely want to see the other islands. I could see island living for me, the relaxing and the chill, and yeah, it was totally, they say that once you go to Hawaii, you will definitely go back, and I believe it, though I do want to check out the other islands. So for vacation knitting, I did on my sock, I did on my holiday project, and I brought the looped and I did some on that. I did a lot of the sock knitting on the plane. We flew American and it's, I don't know, 6 hours. And so I watched a lot of movies. I caught up on a lot of movies I hadn't seen. So I think I watched 3 movies each way, including Finding Dory and Bad Moms. And I watched some of the action movies. Oh, the Independence Day remake, which I really liked. And some other things. It was good. It was a good time. I want to do more vacations. I want to live on vacation. And then I came back to work and had a lot to do because my some of my staff were going on vacation this past week. So I was coming and they were already on vacation. So there was a lot to do to cover. But that's all done, and I am just enjoying winter in Southern California where it is 85 degrees today in shorts, as you can see, and this is kind of warm. I had actually put a t-shirt on after I record this. But I'm hoping for cooler weather soon because yeah, it doesn't feel very holiday. It feels very summery. But that's the way it goes. Some of the things I've been watching, so I have blitzed the second season of Zoo. I really like that show. It's gotten a little different this second season than the first season, but I find it highly enjoyable. And then I'm also I'm a little late to the bandwagon on this, but I started watching Supergirl. So I'm watching the first season. I'm about halfway through on Netflix. And I watched Melissa Benoist when she was on Glee, and she was adorable, and she is super adorable in Supergirl. Really a good juxtaposition between this sweet person and this superhero and how you can do both. I love it. Press junket. So upcoming travels. I am confirmed for my India trip. Yay. I still need to buy my plane ticket. I'm going to probably buy it the next few weeks. I'm trying to decide how I'm going to do the airline thing. And then, so I will be flying out on Saturday or Sunday, January 28th to arrive in India 2 days later at some point on the 31st. And then my tour starts on the 1st and goes through the 9th. I'll be flying back on the 10th and have like a weekend to recover. So that is very exciting. And I'm still hopefully planning a trip to see my family in January. I'm hoping it will coincide. Actually, I think it's the same weekend as Vogue Knitting New York, and I was like, oh, maybe I could go, but I won't be able to. It's kind of, as I said, the Slater Mill weekend, so I will try that. I am confirmed for the Knockers retreat in April up in Northern California, so that's exciting, and I'm also confirmed for Zombie and Apocalypse in June. And I think I'm going to try to go to Maryland Sheep and Wool again this year. My friends will have me. But that's not confirmed yet. I need to look at when the dates are. So those are kind of my upcoming travels. And I'm already like looking forward to next summer, and we're not even to the holidays. Isn't that crazy? So that's kind of all I have for that today. I do want to say a few words on the election, but if you have no desire to hear, turn it off. Nice seeing you. All that jazz. But for everybody else, you know, we had a major election here in the United States this past week, and there was a lot of turmoil, I guess, around, as I think the election was very close. And as a result, there was a lot of turmoil. You know, there's a lot of people whose candidate didn't win, and then there's some who was. And regardless of who you voted for, I think that what the bigger thing is that over 50% of our country didn't vote. And I find that sad because voting is one of the greatest privileges I think we have living in a first world country. We actually have an impact in our government and what happens. And regardless, and Trump wasn't my candidate, but politicians come and go. We've had politicians on both sides. He's very different in terms of he's not coming from a political background, but he's still only in office for 4 years. And there's only so much impact you can make in 4 years. And he's not the only elected official out there. He's not a dictator. There is a checks and balances of the system. And yes, his party is able to sway it more because of who got elected. But even within those parties, you have liberals, you have moderates, you have the whole gamut. We're all people, and I think that in general, decisions will be made for this country, but it's not the end of the world. It's not. We're going to get through this. He's going to do some good, he's going to do some bad. That's what every elected official does. And it's just where you stand on his particular issues, whether it's good or bad. It's kind of a value thing. So I am definitely going to make sure that my voice is heard more in both local officials and in lobbying for my elected officials to make sure that they know how I want, my personal thoughts on issues. Because ultimately they're elected to serve their constituents. And if you don't make your voice heard or let them know your voice or your opinion, well, then they can't really represent you that well, can they? So that's kind of my personal commitment as a result of this. And I haven't been very political in the past, but I'm definitely going to work towards making my voice heard more with my elected officials. And in California, which we're a very democratic state, we actually elected Kamala Harris, who is the first African-American woman / Indian woman to be elected to the state Senate. And that is awesome. That is progress. We didn't get the first woman vice president as we had hoped, but there are still quite a few new politicians that were elected that will be going to Washington who represent, who are highly qualified and are great representatives and are busting through and making changes. And so I am not disheartened because this is the political process. Your candidate can't win all the time. I definitely disagree with quite a few things that he said, but I also have an innate faith in us as a people and where we're going forth. And even though our political system is not 100% awesome, it still is leaps and bounds among many other countries in the world. And I have a voice, and that is one of the things that this system gives me. And what I saw from the election is that too many of us are not making our voices heard. And that's kind of what I want to go forth, is that every vote matters. I would have liked to have seen 100% turnout in the vote. It might have still gone the same way. We know that 25% of the population, in the United States was voting for Bush, and for Trump. 25% were voting for Hillary, but the other 110 million don't know where they stand. And so you don't know how it would have went. But I would have liked to have seen an elected leader that truly represents sort of everyone. And a lot of the disillusionment was because you couldn't stand 100% behind either candidate. And I find that with every candidate, I don't 100% believe. I've never had a candidate where I believed 100% in everything that they say and where they stand on the issues. It's sort of just choosing the best candidate. And I think there was a lot of disillusionment in this year's election because we had the lowest voter turnout that neither candidate truly represented, which is sad. I think that really just goes to be said that we need to make changes to our political system and maybe give a few more choices, a few more candidates that can help pull people in to vote and give us a well-rounded government. Okay, off my soapbox. Thank you for listening. If you listened to any of that, thank you for staying with it. I will be back in a few weeks with another podcast, and hopefully I'll have some things to show you. And in the meantime, I probably won't talk to you before Thanksgiving, which is in 2 weeks in the United States. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving with their family, and I will be somewhere here. I'm not sure what I'm doing for Thanksgiving, but I will be thinking of my friends and family and being very thankful for everything in my life, and that everything I am given, everything that everyone's worked for to get me here, and be very thankful for my knitting community and my family and my friends and everything. I just want to be more thankful this year. So anyways, I don't usually am very ranty on these, but I felt moved. Anyways, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meet fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.